the bump and run, the Bristol move.
That's aggressive, but that's good. Good hard racing. Oh! He puts him out of the groove there. Oh, man!
Will he get the bumper? Yes, he does. Here comes Logano. Logano on the inside. A drag race. They're sideways. And it's going to be Logano getting the win.
The back end of the 18. Kick out.
Yeah, he got into it right there.
Moved him out of the way.
Just got the lead.
It's almost too early to be racing that hard for the lead, wasn't it?
Never too early to be racing for the lead.
At Bristol.
At Bristol.
Man, this is one of the biggest wins of my career.
It's the bump and run,
Baby!
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I am your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you guys had yourselves a better weekend than I did. Not gonna lie, I was a little stressed. I was watching that road course race down in COTA, kind of freaking out a little bit. But in the end, you know, my guy Tyler Reddick, he was the big winner down in COTA. In fact, he's the now that Chase Elliott's not around. 3 wins on road courses in the last season and a little bit. I'm gonna call it, boys. I don't know if you do, but I think he's I think he's doing it. I think he's doing it, boys. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Podcast available every Monday night. Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and all that jazz. YouTube on Tuesday. Fellas, how was your weekend? How'd you enjoy the race down in COTA? Tyler Reddick, the big winner. And I forgot. Where's my money gun? God damn it, it's on the other side of the road, but I told you guys to pick Tyler Reddick at COTA, and he won, baby.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know what I enjoyed more, the Snapchats of you and the anxiety and stress level at the end of that race, or the race itself, because, boys, this week we got a little shot to the arm that we needed.
I feel like both were at a level 10, right, Matt? I mean, do you want to tell me what you were doing to me? What you were doing to me the whole entire race, Matt?
I kind of started it with the fantasy stuff the day prior and in the morning too. I was just, you were getting it from all angles, Whitey. We were trying to get that stress level as high as possible.
Oh, I know.
Raise your hand on this chat here. If you had so much faith, if your fandom is so strong for Tyler Reddick and you had so much faith for him that you actually put money down and then won. If you had so much faith that you didn't, because you didn't, you liar, Whitey, you little white liar, you.
No, all right, you guys got me. I didn't put any money on him. I was going to, but I waited until practice and qualifying, and it was like plus 350. It wasn't even worth throwing money on. But I told you here on Monday night, we have 3 chances to use each driver in the Cup Series to win a race and pick on them, and I picked them first. I picked them second, Matt. You picked Chase or Ross Chastain first. Don't you forget that.
Stressed throughout the entire race yesterday. It wasn't me. Do you want to know why I wasn't stressed? Because I knew that Tyler Reddick was going to win that race. We had, but just like Eric just said before, a phenomenal race.
We had a great race.
We had a race that, and I know we can get into it, and you know we will get into it, but I told you guys before we started recording, we might not have seen the most dominant performance in a driver yesterday.
Yeah.
Not even this season was that the most dominant performance by a driver, but I think we saw the most dominant car we've ever seen, and that is not taken away from Reddick at all. I'm just saying it would have taken a goddamn asteroid hitting the state of Texas to stop that guy from winning the race yesterday.
The long run speed alone, absolutely amazing. I don't know if the tire fall off had anything to do with it or the lack thereof tire fall off, but it was absolutely amazing. Do you want to just jump right into the NASCAR news and then we could get right to the race?
The Bump and Run NASCAR news.
All right, because we are professionals, I have to make an addendum or a retraction. Last week, we were speculating at the end of the podcast whether Christopher Bell or Brad Keselowski actually came in second. And I had said the transponders were in the back of the car. That's false. They are in the front of the car, but you can mount them in different areas depending on the team. The second thing, a picture did come out from the line, a nice crisp photo, and Brad Keselowski had like 3/4 or like 1/4 of an inch. So Brad Keselowski definitely finished second last week at Atlanta. Other than that, in the NASCAR news, the longer restart zone has ended. They're going back to the 2020 restart links. They started here at COTA, and then they made an announcement they're going to do it again in Richmond coming up this week. So nothing there. What do you guys think about the restart zones? I feel like it doesn't affect us as fans. What do you think?
I'll be honest with you. I had no idea that they lengthened them. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I think this goes back to what we saw with Logano and what he got accused of doing, where you shorten them up. There's less games to be played. That's what I think they went with. They saw games starting to be played. This is their way of saying, hey, we're gonna pump the brakes on this and put an end to it right now and shorten them back up.
Yeah, they were Jimmy jacking in the restart zone. Let's see. This is a piece of information that could affect NASCAR. Actually, it will affect NASCAR. I'm just not sure how. General Motors, GM, is discontinuing the Camaro after next year. What's up?
No, nothing. Jimmy Whatton?
What's up? Jimmy jacking. They're Jimmy jacking around.
It's a family show.
Right? I don't know. Is it Eric Dovin? Yeah, all right. Anyways, GM is discontinuing the Camaro. The show is off the rails, and we're only a couple minutes in. It'll be interesting to see what they replace it with for NASCAR, because NASCAR has a rule: the manufacturer must run a current body style vehicle. So, what do you guys think about the Camaro possibly going away?
What's it going to be? A Corvette? Like, what else? What are the other options? Are they going to go with the sedan? Like, what are they going to do?
I don't know.
Chevy did say that like they're 100% fully committed to NASCAR. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be here for a long, long time. So they're gonna put out a new model. It's just, what model is it going to be?
I mean, look at what Ford ran the Taurus. That's not a sports car. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like the Mustang or the Dodge Charger or anything like of that, like muscle car or sporty. I mean, we saw that in the past. So the number one thing I think that comes to people's heads is Corvette, for sure, because it's NASCAR and racing. You think fast and sports car. But yeah, that is kind of strange. But, Ford, everyone, like they're not making those two-door cars anymore. Everything's going to these SUVs and these hybrid vehicles. So
don't get Whitey started on SUVs and hybrid vehicles.
It'll be interesting to see what they do choose. But Matt, to your point, yeah, like to anyone thinks that Chevy's going to be like, oh my God, they're going to be out of here. Like, no, Chevy's not going anywhere.
So the thing that I was curious about, and the thing that I'm wondering about the most is, does it have to be a Chevy? General Motors has GMC, they have Buick, they have Cadillac, they have a lot of different options. Could we see a Cadillac SV or what are they called? Like a CTS or whatever out on the track? You never know. Because I'm pretty sure Chevy, they don't have any car models left besides now the Corvette, and I'm not sure if they would put a Vet out on the NASCAR track. I'm not sure if you could get those type of body stylings and stuff like that. So it should be interesting. We'll definitely find out by the end of next year, because they're going to have to do something. Yeah, that's all I have for that one. And then Hendrick is appealing. We talked about that penalty last week. Their appeal will be heard on Wednesday, so we will have a definitive answer whether they're going to be penalized or not. And like we said last week, they're still having their crew chiefs serve those penalties just in case, so you kind of get them over with. What do you guys think about Hendrick and the appeals process?
I'm actually curious about this one for once, to see what they're going to say and what their defense is going to be, because apparently, from what I've seen, they think they might have some kind of case about it. But most of these don't end well for the teams.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they seem they as in Hendrick seems to think that they have a valid point to be made and heard. So we never know, but NASCAR isn't undefeated in these situations, but they're damn near close to being undefeated in these situations. So we'll see. I mean, it'll shake up the points big time. I mean, Bowman will immediately go back to being our number one in points. So we'll see.
Yeah, it should be interesting. And for the listener at home, if you're not familiar with the appeals process, NASCAR and Hendrick both have to plead their case to a board of people who are supposed to be impartial. So it should be interesting. We've seen the appeals process usually go in favor of NASCAR, but in the times it doesn't, usually it's like junior motorsports. So, I mean, Hendrick, you never know. They're the top Chevy team. We could see it. I'll be excited to see what the answer is Wednesday night. But let's jump right into the race weekend. We had Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup all on track. Zane Smith, back-to-back winner at COTA. He won last year. He won again this year. I know Kyle Busch was very upset with second place on that one. I thought Kyle Busch was going to run away with it. Did you guys get a chance to see any of the truck race at all?
I did not.
God. By the time we always say this, by the time Monday night rolls around and we record this, Saturday
forget about stuff
5 weeks ago. I want to say I did. I want to say I saw bits and pieces of it. We were in and out of the house all day. We were running a lot of errands. So, but I know I did see. You know what? I think I watched some of it on the phone while we were running errands.
Yeah,
I was up there battling Business Route 6 again.
Yeah, I know Kyle Busch and Zane Smith kind of battled it out. I didn't get a chance to see it at all either. I was out and about doing other job stuff. And then the Xfinity race, I did see a little bit of the Xfinity race. AJ Allmendinger got the win once again. Of course, AJ Allmendinger in the Xfinity series on a road course. How could you not favor him to win? Did you guys see any of the Xfinity series race?
Yes, that was phenomenal. I was out at the bar, and the last 14 laps of that race was just the back and forth between that 17 and the 10 car was phenomenal racing. And, once again, it was that excitement that I saw there that kept me and made me more hopeful for the Cup race to hopefully, I was a little nervous that they were going to get outshined again by Xfinity. I've watched an Xfinity race this year that kind of was better than the Cup. So, I was a little nervous about that, but at the same time, excited because it was that shot in the arm of that excitement we needed from a race weekend. And you always gotta, respect the dinger out there wheeling that machine around.
I know he got into a little bit of a incident there with Sheldon Creed, and they both work out of the same shop. Of course, Sheldon Creed at RCR and the Dinger at Colleague. They're on that Welcome campus, so that should be interesting to see how they race each other in the future. But I just have to make one note. Brad Keselowski as a broadcaster, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
He almost got my checkers for the weekend. Even though Tyler Reddick won, because I thought he did such a good job. And then, of course, the Cup race, Tyler Reddick led 6 times for 41 laps. It was 3 hours, 30 minutes, 32 seconds, 8 cautions for 17 laps, 16 lead changes among 7 different drivers. Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain, and William Byron, your top 5 boys. Let's jump into the race grades.
It's our NASCAR weekend race grade.
Also, for the listener at home, if you're like, man, these guys are rushing through everything, sorry. We got a real late start today, and Matt has a deadline to get to, so we're trying to get him done at a reasonable time so he could finish his work and get his baby to sleep. So, boys, Eric, you had a plan for the race grades. What was it again?
You are our resident Tyler Reddick fan here. Let's hear it from your point of view.
All right, man. I got to give it an A. This was the race we needed all season. I'm not giving it an A because Tyler Reddick was the winner. I'm giving it an A for the product as a whole because I thought it was just a quality race. on all levels. We saw some different pit strategies that were interesting. Fuel mileage race was shaping up until that late caution with 12 to go. So that was getting really exciting because we had the leader and the person in second place a lap short on gas. We had the fourth place and third place guys who said they were good on gas, kind of putting pressure on them. It was super interesting. We had Alex Bowman, who had been saving gas and like backing up the corners. Like, that was really exciting for me. I was kind of hoping it would go green to see how it could play out, because I love that type of shit. And then, yeah, it was really exciting. Of course, we had that caution come out, but then we saw all those guys kind of come into pit road, and then it was kind of a free-for-all. There's some things about that I didn't like. I'll get into it during my records, but just as a whole, I thought it was a great road course race at COTA. I thought the cars performed really well. I thought the package looked really good. I was a little nervous things would get strung out, and they didn't. We saw some great battles in the beginning. It was everything I want out of a race, especially a road course race. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. How about you, Eric? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, that is almost exactly what I saw too out of this race, where even like, look at what happened with Kyle Busch. He ends up back up front through all the different strategies too, where he probably thought his day was done, and then you end up front. It's one of those races where if you catch the caution when you need it, but then a caution could also ruin your day. But that's the excitement. That's part of it all. And I thought we had every element that you need to give a race an A, and I gave it an A. The weekend in general helped me give this an A as well, from the Xfinity race that I saw. And then, with this track, I get that the end there, that's a whole different thing. I kind of tend not to look at that and add it in, because it's going to happen. It is what it is type of thing. It would have sucked to see Reddick, have it stolen. But the one thing that really made me give it the A was that for the first one or two of those, I think most of those drivers up front felt like that it was over after two green, white checkers. They just end it, keep it clean. So most of them up front were keeping it clean during those first two. And, I really do think that you have to give a lot of credit to that guy that took over that 8 car, because he slammed on his brakes at the end there and allowed Reddick to clear at the end. And in the interview at the end of the race, Kyle Busch even said, he goes, listen, I didn't deserve to win that race. He goes, I was up there from, circumstances. My car was not by any means anywhere near Tyler Reddick. So he goes, I wasn't going to take that and steal that from him. Yeah. Even though he knows he could have got another win. Oh, yeah. Anyone else could have gotten another win. So the respect level there, I like to see that out of those guys battling up front. So I definitely had to give it an A. We saw a lot of battles all day long, and everything, strategy, fuel. So I'm impressed with this weekend at COTA.
There's also something to that, right? Because so also in Kyle Busch's post-race interview there, he mentioned a key word: respect. He said Tyler Reddick and clean. He said Tyler Reddick runs clean. I've got a lot of respect for that guy, so I was going to race him clean as well. And that's coming from a guy who just the past couple of weeks has been talking a lot about lack of respect on the racetrack. Yeah. So to hear him say that about a younger driver specifically, that's got to feel good for a guy like Tyler Reddick to hear that from a first ballot Hall of Famer like Kyle Busch.
And that's the thing too, to Kyle Busch's credit, man. Like, he might portray himself as like kind of a dick off track and stuff, but the man races clean as he can. He doesn't touch bumpers if he doesn't have to. So I definitely respect that. And he kind of threw some shots at Ross Chastain during that interview.
That's the funniest thing. That was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
That was a great clip.
Are you gonna play it?
No, I'll retweet it from the front stretch because I turned off what I had going on with the Bluetooth.
So for those of you who haven't seen it or might not have Twitter, Kyle Busch was being interviewed and just, getting asked questions, and he was talking about racing clean or whatever. And as he was talking about that, Ross Chastain had walked up and started getting interviewed right next to Kyle Busch. And Kyle Busch looked over at Ross Chastain and said loud enough where he could hear. I mean, they're literally 2 or 3 feet away from each other. What did he say? Speaking of clean, this guy doesn't know how to race.
Right here.
Races between each other, they were really fast. I mean, they deserved to win. There's no sense in taking it from them. Somebody else that doesn't know anything about clean over here.
Yeah, somebody else that doesn't know nothing about clean over here.
And the fact that he said it essentially right to his face is just that's great.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and he knew it was going to get clipped. That's going all around social media right now. So he knows Ross saw that, and just like how he knew Logano was going to see it when he called him out in the booth. You know what I mean? And that's why we need a lot of Kyle Busches out there. But we also need, to learn from how to have respect and play the villain. You can play a villain and also race with respect.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Matt, what was your race grade? I'm guessing the same page, but.
Did Eric, did you give your letter grade?
Yeah, I gave it A.
A, okay. Yeah, so I'm right there with you guys. I went for it. I gave it the A+.
All right, nice.
I loved yesterday. So as Whitey, as you said, that was the race we needed. Not all superheroes wear capes, but some superheroes have 20 turns, and COTA was a superhero yesterday. They saved this early season, in my opinion, because I thought this race was great. We haven't had an A+ race yet. Not one of us has given out. I think I'm the first one to give out an A+ this whole season. And we were just having a lackluster start to a season. Not that it was bad or god awful, but it was just up until yesterday. And we're running into a stretch now where we have the short tracks. We have Richmond, Martinsville, Bristol, the dirt race, then we have Talladega, then we have Dover. So we have a lot of interesting tracks coming up. So maybe this was the momentum that we needed to go into what could be a fun stretch, especially with the new short track package. So we have a little bit of evidence that the new road course package worked good. Let's see what the short track package can do. So just like you guys said, though, we had fuel strategies, we had tire strategies, we had green flag passes for the lead, we had battles for the lead that lasted multiple long laps. And we had passing throughout the field, and we had drama, we had hurt feelings, and we had a great race. So it was a breath of fresh air to see that yesterday. And I'm a huge advocate for road course racing. Last year we had shitty ass road course racing, which made me question myself.
Yeah, it was such a disappointment.
Yeah, if that's what we can get going forward with the other 35 road course races that we have the rest of the season, then we're in for a fun handful of races there.
Yeah, I was real against road courses and just adding all the road courses to the schedule. And Matt, you've been a champion of road courses. You've been preaching how good they are. And I was finally coming around in 2020. I was like, you want to know what? These are good races. And then in 2021, we were still using the old car. I'm like, man, these are really good races. And then last year with the new car, they kind of fizzled out and they weren't as good as they were with the old car. And I'm just hoping COTA is an indication of what to come. And I'm kind of really curious to see how it's going to shape up with Richmond this week. Richmond is a track that we shit on a lot here. The only track we shit on more than Richmond is Phoenix. And Phoenix, we didn't see the best racing at with this new short track package, but at the same time, Phoenix is its whole different animal than it is anyways. So I kind of have a lot of hope for Richmond. I hope the weather is nice and warm and we see some tire fall off and whatnot. What were you going to say, Matt?
I was just going to say, we didn't see a great Phoenix race, but we saw the best Phoenix race we'll probably see, so that's something.
That's true too. Yeah, that is true. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing this rules package develop as we go. And hopefully all the rest of, like Matt said, the next 50 road courses are great too. Let's jump into the checkers and wreckers.
Pretty wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's Checkers and Wreckers.
All right, let's start with. Well, wait. What was the order we were going to go in? Am I going first, or is Matt going first?
You're going first, and I'm going. We'll leave Matt go last.
Okay, because they're all going to flow into each other, and you'll see about. So my checkers, I got to give it to the whole 45 crew, including Kurt Busch. A car in just its second season has won 3 times with 3 different drivers. It shows what Kurt and the whole team has built very quickly. Of course, we all felt bad for Kurt with this situation with the concussions. I really felt bad for him in the booth, obviously getting emotional watching his old car win.
That was a great moment.
That
was a great moment.
It gave me chills. I got choked up and you know, because for us, it's just watching sports. You know, we don't think about what it is for them, but for Kurt Busch, this is his life. This is his livelihood. It's all he's known is racing. And it's got to be really tough for him getting taken out the way he did, you know, and the whole entire time he had hope of coming back. It still sounds like he has hope to come back, and he can come back in a third car. I know Denny's said it just as much. If Kurt can race as long as he wants to race. And he even said he has a doctor's appointment this week, so he's hoping to hear some good news from the doctors in Charlotte. But man, just a wild time. Where is it? I'm glad Kurt's still involved with the team, and I'm just happy for my driver. I really am. I know I hate to be a homer on here, but I was really nervous with this whole transition to Toyota. I wasn't sure how 2311 was going to perform, and a win this early on really, really put my mind at ease. I'm sure it put their whole fucking team at ease. And it was just a good day. Good day. My wreckers, the lack of respect in the field, especially at the end. We've seen it developing in the lower series, and we've seen it the last year and a half in road courses. We talked about it last year where guys are Jimmy jacking on restarts and then they just full send it into turn 1. And you know, it's just getting kind of ridiculous where pretty much every veteran driver is saying something about it now. Ryan Preece voiced his concerns. He got out of the car because he got wrecked out. He goes, everyone's hacks. It's all hacks out there. There's no respect. No one cares about working on the cars. Of course, Ryan Preece comes from the modified world where he worked on his own cars, so I think he has a greater appreciation for that type of thing. But he basically called out all the people that just kind of pay money to run and don't care about the equipment and kind of do whatever the fuck they want, you know? And we saw a lot of it on those restarts, like Eric said, especially in the back of the pack. I don't know how you fix it. I hope the drivers fix it between themselves though, because I don't know. It sucks watching 6 restarts when you don't have to, you know. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, like I said, for the most of the front, they raced well, but it's from 5, 6 back where they fan out. You know, some people are going to go up high. Most people are going to come down low, hit you, use you, because I heard it on the radio a lot, even from EJ's crew. 8 tires work better than 4, and I mean, when you're in the back and you're getting used up all day, those frustrations, they start to build up and, then you get what you get at the end of a race. But I don't mind 1 or 2 of those, Whitey, but once it gets past that, it leaves it up to, like Denny Hamlin said today, do we have to go single file at the end of one of these there or do something? But to go into my checkers and wreckers, I'll go off of the respect. One driver that I'm going to give my checkers to is someone that I have little to no respect for, but he's kind of making me eat crow, which is Corey LaJoie. I don't know how many times I bust his balls and say, what does he do? His name's in this for the 9 car and a here and a there. If he's in good, everybody on satellite radio, everybody's always a Corey LaJoie, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all right. Well, he already has 2 top 10s this year and a top 5, and he's sitting inside the playoffs right now in points. So, top 5 yesterday or top 10, and man, he's hanging around these races. He's doing what he has to do right now. Now, I don't know if I'm right or wrong about him, or it's just a little too early in the season yet, but
That's true.
I will I have to give him some respect because he is hanging in there with the best of the best so far, 6 races into the season.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eric. I feel like I've been shitting on this guy in our group chat for a long time now because nothing against Corey LaJoie personally, but like, you know, he goes out there and he compares himself to, you know, Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson, the guys he used to race against when they were younger, which is fair to do. But he skipped a lot of steps along the way. He jumped right into Cup in the back markers, and he keeps talking about how great he could drive if he was just given the opportunity. And apparently, I heard, and it seems to be true, Spire Motorsports is making a big commitment this season where they're finally putting money into that ride. And again, I don't know if it's too early to tell because it's still early in the season, but it seems like they really are, and they're making a true effort to become good in the Cup Series. And I can't deny it. Corey LaJoie is kind of taking his opportunity and he's seizing it, you know? So
I'm giving the credit to Stevie Letarte.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Letarte is a consultant over there at Spire Motorsports. We found out from the USA series on what was it called? Race for the Championship? Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Eric, I gotta agree. I gotta agree. I'm eating crow too.
I never thought it happened, but you got to give credit where credit's due. So Corey LaJoie, hey, keep it up, buddy. My records has to go to that pre-race everything yesterday. Whitey, I know you weren't around for it. You were still, doing your typical Whitey stuff, not making
he was still in aisle 8 at the grocery store.
I was not at the grocery store. We were taking the dog for a walk. That way she got some exercise, and I stopped at Rite Aid to pick up my blood pressure medicine, which I definitely needed today. So
that's true. Well, good thing you did that, but then again, it's a good thing you missed it because I had my buddy Colin over to watch the race too, and I actually told him, I'm actually upset that I turned the race on early enough to catch all that. I wish I didn't see the anthem. I wish I didn't see.
They messed up the lyrics to the anthem, man,
multiple times.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened at the end, and then the person that said drive, like
I
the
saw
intro,
the command.
Oh my God.
I was like, "What is this?"
I have 0 words. I'm speechless. I almost didn't want to wreck them because I didn't want to bring it back up and burn it into my memory even more than it already is, but it was bad.
Did they say who the Grand Marshal is? Because usually it's like, oh, it's the president of Toyota. It's like, oh, it's the president of this
thing.
thing.
Who they needed to have be the Grand Marshal? Somebody who would have fucking killed it. He lives in Austin. They should have had Joe Rogan out there to do the Grand Marshal.
Yeah.
Dude, Tom Segura was there.
Was he?
Tom Segura was there, or he did like an open for him. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I saw that.
That was just bad. It was bad. Worst anthem. I know people. I didn't see it on Twitter. I know Moody and those guys. They always put a number like for the anthem, and they'll like rate it every week.
Pistol Pete gave it a -10.
It was so bad. Oh my God. I'm right there with it. It was the worst anthem since I started watching NASCAR. It was the worst anthem I've ever seen. And a combination, worst anthem and worst fucking driver start your engine ever in history.
I saw the command, and the guy just goes, "Yeah, drivers." I'm like, what is this? I was like, yee, brother, what the hell?
Oh my God.
He was ruined for sure.
Oh, so that's my checkers and records.
All right. How about you, Matt? What's your checkers and records for the weekend?
-10.
It was just so bad. It was so bad.
Oh. They got the words wrong. I did see those tweets too, where it was like the starlight and shit.
Multiple times.
I feel like that if you took us out of the infield at Pocono 30 beers deep and asked us to do the national anthem for the truck race, we would have done better.
Yeah, probably.
God. All right.
All right. Deep breaths, boys. Deep breaths. Drivers, sound your engines. I'm sorry I had to do it to you. I had to do it to you. All right, boys.
All right.
All right, Matt. What's your checkers and records for the weekend?
My checkers goes to NASCAR for listening to the drivers, to the teams, and most importantly, the fans for once. They eliminated the stage breaks at road courses, and we got to finally see a strategy race that, like, I feel like I've been begging to see.
Yeah.
If you've listened to the show for a while, you know that all three of us love strategy races, and for a while there, I didn't think I'd ever get to see a true strategy race ever again in NASCAR, which was a huge bummer because the caution breaks, the actual breaks ruined that. Like, you didn't have to plan for a whole race. You had to plan for 30 laps or whatever it was. And then NASCAR finally listened to everybody involved, took the breaks away, awarded the points, and kept it moving. We saw it for the first time yesterday. They're going to do it at every road course this year. And we got a great race. You know, they did a great job of talking about how some of the crew chiefs work the race backwards. You know, they take the lap count and they work their way backwards for fuel strategy. And who would have thunk it? We got a great race when they actually listened to what everybody in the industry wanted to do.
I thought that was super fascinating too. They brought up the history and who the first driver crew chief was to do that at Riverside back in the day, which I wouldn't even think about, where they just kind of play all these different scenarios and stuff. It was super interesting. All right, how about your records?
My records goes to mi amigo Daniel Suarez. I'd hate to do this, but because I love the passion, right? Like, we're all three of us. We love the passion that comes out of these guys. We always say that we want more of it. I'm not reckoning for that. What I'm reckoning for, so after the race on the cool down laps, he sped up past like a handful of cars. He physically bumped his teammate, Ross Chastain, out of the way so he could get to Alex Bowman as they entered pit road, and then just kind of rammed him a couple times as they were getting onto pit road. I guess to show his displeasure for getting taken out on like the last restart. Only there's one problem with doing all of that. It wasn't Alex Bowman's fault. Alex Bowman got run into the back by Ross Chastain, and then Ross Chastain got run in the back by, I think, Chase Briscoe. If you go back and watch the replay of the wreck, and Daniel Suarez, he has a right to be pissed off. He had a great car, a top 5 car, maybe even a shot to win, and he ended up finishing wherever he finished.
I think it was like 23rd or something like that.
He took out his anger on Bowman, and it wasn't Bowman's fault. Like, dude, what do you do? Like, you gotta, like, I know it's easy for us to Monday morning quarterback this and say, like, well, you gotta, be, more level-headed than that in the situation. I know that's a lot easier said than done, but Suarez has a little bit of a hothead to him, and I thought it was a bad look. He's had a couple instances throughout his career where he's done some things that I thought, a little bit of a hothead to him, a little bit of a bad look, and I just thought this was one of them. I don't mind the passion, love the passion, keep that passion up. I love that, but like, aim it in the right direction. Like, at least make sure you know what you're doing before you do it.
I have an extra level to it too, but Eric, you go ahead.
My thing was just Daniel Suarez. It's the end of the race. It's green light checker scenarios. Like,
everyone's wrecking everyone.
Everyone's doing that. Like, I could see if there was a scenario earlier in the race where it was kind of an unnecessary move early in a race to do that. But at the end there, to get that upset, like you said, Matt, to drive and risk the officials who were right next to Bowman at the time to do that. He was right there waving him in, going slow. He could have easily ran that guy over and had a serious problem on his hands. That
was the point I wanted to make too. I'm completely cool with showing your displeasure to a guy in the car afterwards. You see it all the time. They come up, they door them. They go like, oh, he did it right at the entrance of pit road, and there was officials waving them by as he did it. And I feel like not only you can't have that happen, we saw people get penalized for that same thing last year.
He's going to get penalized for it.
Yeah. So we'll probably expect to hear that either tomorrow or Wednesday. But yeah, I get it. You're fired up. It's the end of the race. I feel like, you know, emotions are going. You should probably see the replay of what happened too, because you don't know. You see what you see and you hear what you hear in your ears, you know. But I was cool with the whole entire displeasure thing up until it was on pit road and there's officials.
Because I mean,
you know?
even you look at Bowman too. Like he got fucked over by Trackhouse and Ross Chastain last year in that same situation.
Yeah.
So he's gonna do it. He's not backing down at all, especially this time after he got screwed last year, essentially. So he was gonna hold his ground, and Suarez had to kind of. You have to know that too, you know. Like I said, end of the race, Bowman got taken out by your team and essentially your teammate. You know, last year in the same situation, he ain't backing down either. So yeah, I think mi amigo's gonna have a little bit of a points and a fine coming his way.
Which it is.
Bowman always finds himself in these weird post-race scenarios. Remember with Denny last year pulling in front of him and while he was burning out in a victory celebration, like. Weird post-race things.
Him and Bubba Wallace at the Roval, yeah.
Threw the water in his face,
yeah, like
or
weird.
Him or whatever he did, yeah.
Yeah, Bowman finds himself into some shit, and I feel like he's undeserving of it every time. Yeah. It's like what the fuck did I do, man?
It doesn't matter because he makes his shirt and he comes out on top every time.
Yeah, he sells 1 million of them. Let's see. Any other race notes you guys have from the race, though? I know things that pointed out to me, just RFK struggling big time. Chris Buescher was stuck in the back for a while. He got himself a top 10. And then Brad Keselowski, who I used to consider a really good road course racer up until this new car. I feel like every next-gen road course race, he's spinning himself out, and I don't understand if it's brake lockup
Brad's
or what.
Running position, Brad's average running position yesterday was 27th. Now, I know, like, he had multiple instances where he was spinning out, and he had a couple run-ins, so that doesn't help. But, like, he was in the back of the race. Like, he was never even a blimp on the radar except for when he was getting into some trouble. Yeah, super sad because he's having both of them are having a hell of a start to the season.
I was paying attention because, like I said, my buddy Colin was over watching the race with me, and he's a Martin Truex Jr. fan, and I thought he had a great day, and I thought he got robbed of an even better day with his finish at the end. You know, hung in there all race long, and, you know, he got caught up in the end mayhem there, which was kind of a shame because, you know, I think he needed a good finish and a couple more to propel him into this next half or a couple races that's coming up where I think he has a really, really good shot at being up front in these next couple races.
Yeah. And then let's see what else. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got his first career top 10 on a road course. What do you guys think about Ricky getting it done? And
I think it's survival. You know, he spun out and was involved in an incident earlier in the race and managed to make his way back. So they fought through some adversity. But at the end of that race, it was just, you know, when you were 10th on back, you could go from 10th to being last and last from being up to it was just mayhem, like we said earlier in the race there in that turn. So yeah, if you were lucky enough to come out of there clean and get a good finish, that's a race like a super speedway where it can make or break you right there.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Kyle Busch, we already talked about. Super strong day, especially late. He was on a weird pit strategy too because he had that cording issue early on. They said his tires weren't going to make another lap. So that put him on a weird. And then some of the cautions kind of saved his day and put him up front. Alex Bowman, William Byron, solid damn days. And the battles we saw with William Byron and Tyler Reddick early on, absolutely amazing. I feel like Bowman's ready to win one. I think he's really
going
close.
to. He's going to. Yeah, I think we can't go this whole podcast without at least kind of, I don't know if we had anything for Pickle Lane or not, but we have to, I think, at least talk about a little bit the whole Bubba interview.
Yeah. Let's save that for the Pickle Lanes.
Okay.
We'll just kind of touch on that. And then Ty Gibbs, I was really surprised he snuck out a top 10. I was hearing on the radio that he was like down a cylinder and stuff. It seemed like his day was done. He was stuck in the back. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if a bunch of guys took each other out and he was able to sneak on by, but Ty Gibbs snuck out a top 10. Probably, I'd have to check, but probably his best finish. And then just a lot of chaos at the end, kind of ruined a lot of guys' good days. But do you guys have anything else to add to the Cup race? Anything that stood out to you guys while you were watching your drivers and stuff?
Just good, hard racing for once. Throughout the whole entire race, there was battles going on. And I think that's what I missed in the first couple stages of those other races to start the season. Was just from the start, we knew strategy, we knew battles, and there were battles because that racetrack allowed them to stay tight for a long extended period of time. And I got to give a shout out to the package because obviously, we stated last year road course shit the bed. This year we're seeing some promise. So that's what I took from the weekend.
All right, nice. All right, so everyone loves to talk about the winner on a Monday, one Tyler Reddick, but here on the Bumper Run podcast, we also love to talk about the loser, the guy that came in last place this week. Of course, it was Ty Dillon. He had his day ended on lap 1, couldn't even complete a full lap. Of course, there was carnage in the back. Jimmy Johnson was taken out as well during that. They didn't get through the DVP policy, but it would be Ty marked last. Just unfortunate to see a big wreck like that on lap 1. A lot of guys kind of got screwed early on with damage and what. But that is it for the race weekend. Do you guys want to jump into the pick lanes? I still never made a sounder for that one. I have nothing written down here, but Eric had a pick lane that he came up with. And then, of course, Matt brought up the Bubba Wallace stuff, so we'll jump right in. Eric, what was your thoughts for the pick lane segment?
So yesterday we saw, what kind of good racing we could have when we don't have stages involved. With us going to Richmond, where last year we saw those long green flag runs, similar to, this style of race we saw at a road course. Would it be in your guys' wheelhouse to maybe mess around with removing stages at other racetracks as well, where we typically have long green flag runs, or would it have to be a full on, hey, take them all out everywhere and that's it? Or would you mind having them, some races have them and some races don't? Because what I saw yesterday, made me miss, having those non-stage races. I just curious to what you guys thought after what we saw on Sunday.
Outside of road courses, because obviously after what I saw yesterday, we just got to keep that, right? That was too good to just take it away. So outside of road courses, I 100% want to see it at Pocono. I would love to see an old strategy race at Pocono. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a short track, experiment with it. I wouldn't this upcoming race at Richmond or at Martinsville. I wouldn't mind seeing them experiment with it, see what it looks like. Award, just like we just did yesterday. Still award the stage points, but just keep it moving and see how that affects the race. Maybe we realize what we've missed all along, or maybe we're let's get the cautions in there. I don't know, but definitely for Pocono. And I wouldn't mind seeing it on these short tracks or even an intermediate, just to kind of remind us what it could be.
Right, just like with the road course, how they changed the package for that, and the to try to make it better for the short track and road courses. This might be something as well. Hey, we're trying to make the racing product better. Why not try getting rid of the stages? Hey, I know we added them to try to make the racing better. Well, now we have a whole new car and whatever. That would be something that I would get behind as a sample all-star race. Try it somewhere at that track to see how it works with this new car.
So I think I come to this kind of unique versus you guys because I'm a newer fan and all I know really is stage racing. Of course I watched when I was younger and stuff, but actually paying attention to the sport, I only know stage racing. So this is the first race I saw with no stages while they still gave out those points. But from what I understand, the reason for stage racing was a lot of fans kind of complained that races would get strung out. They wanted guys to battle for something in the middle of the race to make the middle of the race exciting. And I think that is still important, because...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I just think about all of the races with stages where sometimes they just got spread out, and you saw, everyone in the top 12 and back down a lap, which nothing wrong with that. Like, you need those type of races too. I don't know if getting rid of those stage cautions would change any of that, or it would make it worse. It's just one of those things you kind of see happen time by time.
Would you be okay with like having a 36 race schedule and not having everyone be the same? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
it's not fair having this one has stages and this one doesn't. My argument would be you're still getting the points regardless of it, right?
Matt, what'd you spill over there? Dude, did you have a Polar explode?
Dude, I am 5 years old. I went to go open up this Polar, and I don't want to tip it over, but the fucking tab is broken and it's barely open.
Oh, you got to push your thumb in. That sucks, man.
Over here while you guys are talking. I apologize.
So, I agree with Matt. I would love to see it continue. Pull the tab off and then jam it in. Just be careful you don't cut your finger. I'm like Matt. I would love to see it continue at road courses. It seems like NASCAR's already made that decision. I think it's a good decision. I would like to see it at Pocono too, because I feel like I treat Pocono like a road course, even though it's only got 3 or 6 turns, depending on who you talk to, and they're all left. But because they're so different, the long stretches and stuff, I would like to see it, because really, Pocono,
you could probably look back and see which races tend to go long.
Yeah.
You could probably find that out and only implement it at those racetracks to start. And maybe, only a handful you have to take away, because the rest, it still runs really well, So, I was just curious about that, because it's been 7 years, and you're right, Whitey. I didn't think about that. Maybe a majority of the new fans are just like you, where they never saw what it was like before these stages.
But I think we could find that happy medium, though, where we create excitement because we're handing out stage points in the middle of a race, where it would give those guys a reason to battle all day long.
Right. Exactly.
And we get to see kind of just all the types of strategies play out, where we're not, essentially forcing the strategy by saying like, hey, this is when we pit, and then later on this is when we pit. The only thing I don't want to see is phantom cautions kind of come back,
yeah, they did get rid of those, and NASCAR kind of admitted that they used to
do it. Yeah,
like once stages like stuck and they were around for as many years as they are now, they became a little lackluster in admitting that they were kind of throwing some phantom cautions out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to experiment with it, though. I love the experiment we have going right now, and I hope it continues. I hope the rest of the road courses are good like this too. And at the end of the season, we're not saying like, oh man, I wish they would bring stages back. I don't see it happening.
Small changes. Yeah. I don't mind small changes here and there.
But I'm open to it, and if you're listening and you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments section or send us a tweet, because I want to know what you guys think about this too. And then Matt, you had a pick a lane about Bubba Wallace. I have the clip here.
Yeah, if you want to play the clip, and then we can kind of go off of that. So this was a clip. So for all of you guys who don't know, Bubba Wallace very, very early in the race yesterday. I think the first lap, or like the first couple laps.
It wasn't the first lap. It was early on though. It was like a self spin or some sort of incident. Like it was like 10 laps in,
which caused his brakes to malfunction. He smashed into Kyle Larson, pretty much ruining his day, and it ended Bubba's day, and he was just super hard on himself on the
rear and the oil line. Just trying my hardest not to go down that slippery slope of self-doubt right here. 2 weeks in a row making rookie mistakes, 6 years in the Cup, need to be replaced.
So if you couldn't hear what he said there, he said 2 weeks in a row making rookie mistakes, 6 years into Cup, I need to be replaced. And I don't know, I know the pick lane segment is for debating. I don't know what we would really debate with this. I wanted to talk about it because, yes, we know Bubba has the battles with depression, and that is that's something, that we have to take seriously as a society.
Yeah.
So, understand that he's going through it and that he reacts differently than some other people might. But when you're that hard on yourself, man, I know Kenny Wallace, we all shared a Kenny Wallace video on Twitter today that he released on YouTube. He really hit the nail on the head, man. When you have such a headspace like that, like, maybe your best bet is to just step away from the racing for a while if that's where your headspace is at, because you're not going to win a championship ever with the self-doubt as high as it is like Bubba Wallace has. And Kenny made a good point where maybe Bubba needs a life coach with him at these races, because when you say something like that and it goes across the entire country and people hear that, then they think to themselves, well, if this guy thinks he needs to be replaced, does he need to be replaced? And then you put a spotlight on yourself that doesn't necessarily need to be there. It was an equipment malfunction. It was nothing you did wrong. Bubba's been having a pretty decent year this year when he's not, being taken out of things that's not his own doing. He had a good year last year. He won a race last year. And I just think he needs to see, dude, you've got all the talent in the world. You belong there on Sundays. One little thing goes wrong, like, don't put that self-doubt on yourself. Like, it's going to weigh you down more than it has to. And I just think we can have more of a conversation about it than a debate about any of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'll be honest, man, I've been struggling the last 2 weeks. I don't know why. It's just been a real tough couple of weeks, and I've been real down on myself too. Mm-hmm. And you kind of spiral a little bit too, where you're like, oh man, like I'm fucking terrible. I suck. Like I hate, and I'm sure that's exactly what's happening to Bubba. And then you have to think about the type of pressure Bubba Wallace has. There's a lot of fucking haters online, and there's a lot of people that say a lot of shit about him all day long, every single day. And that's got to be exhausting too. And now you add the layer of your teammate running in the top 5 last week in the same equipment. He goes on to win this week. Of course, Bubba didn't know that because he got taken out early on, but you're in the same car. He had the same exact setup and you're kind of not performing, like he did really well in practice and then kind of blew qualifying. So it's a lot of slippery slopes, and I think Kenny Wallace is right. He needs someone cheerleading him. He needs someone just, talking this stuff out. And we see it all the time, in baseball and other sports. You see pitchers, they get the yips, where suddenly, like, these all-star pitchers, they can't throw it for no other reason than they're just in their own head. And sometimes you need like a sports psychologist to kind of help you through those types of things, because I think Bubba Wallace is a perfectly fine race car driver. I think he deserves to be in the Cup Series. I think he has a lot of talent, and I think he's getting in his own way, and his head is getting in his own way. But at the same time, when you start saying stuff like this in public, people are going to start saying it too. You're feeding,
that's my point. And I stated this last year, when the whole Larson thing happened, and he had a few other incidents where I'm like, hey, like, this guy he's in his head a lot. And like the mental side of racing and being a professional, I think it gets to him and it affects him. And a lot of that, to start the career was nothing of his own. It was just haters. The last couple incidents that have happened, he's doing this to himself, and he's giving those haters that spark to ignite the fire that he's been trying to put out for how long. And, he has to realize that. And you're right. A life coach for when he's there, when he travels from, COTA and we go to Richmond, someone there for that travel time to be with him the whole time, pumping him up, feeding him, distracting him from what happened last week. And, that definitely would help. And, coming from experience with me, I could see the mental side of it too. It's, you get, when you keep living in that and you go down, he said, oh, I don't want to go down that slippery slope of self-denial. Well, when you're sometimes you don't know you're in that self-denial. I was in a dart tournament on Saturday. And, I'm a good dart shooter amongst for, people that were shooting in the tournament. And, the teams that we played to start, I lost both games. I didn't shoot near as good as I usually do because I was in my own head. The last 2 weeks, been telling myself, you've been shooting too many darts. You need a break from darts. And here now I got thrown into a tournament. My mentality was already like, I'm over darts. I don't want to shoot it. And my darts were lackluster. So I could kind of put myself in those shoes too, where the mental side of it, yeah, I might be able to hit those darts every other night of the week, but when it has to count and you're not in that headspace, it's a tough thing to crawl out of. So I do agree that he doesn't need to be replaced, but he sure as hell needs some coaching and needs a little bit of I guess someone propping him up, just pumping his tires constantly, and because like what you said, the talent is there. I think he deserves a cup ride, but anyone there, God forbid he does lose this ride or they don't re-sign him, that is going to be a big asterisk on his resume for a team that wants to sign him, and some team that wants to put a championship caliber driver in that car, like Matt said, and like Wallace said, Kenny said, like you can't have that mental breakdown or you're never going to be a champion in this sport. And I really, truly hope he finds help. And, anybody out there, go get help on your own too. It's don't be afraid to go out there and seek that help and get yourself straightened out.
Sometimes all it takes is doing a podcast with two of your best friends to clear your mental space, for 2 hours a week, just something simple like that. It's, we all go through it. All of us, every single one of us go through it. I go through it. You two just said that you go through it. Everyone goes through it one way or another. It's just, it's about having the right people in your life. And I feel like Bubba probably does have the right people in his life. Like you said, Eric, I hope he seeks the help that he needs, that he obviously needs, and he gets back on the straight and narrow.
I also do believe that something to calm him down a little bit. Maybe they throw him in a couple Xfinity races in the week to give him some seat time.
Get some confidence
maybe calm
back.
his head down too. Give him the confidence. Yes.
No, I think that could help a driver a lot too. Go down to a lower series, kind of just shake it out, just get a feel for it, and feel that confidence again. And yeah, I agree. I don't think they need a driver change. I think they just need a change in the way they're going about things. So but on to the next weekend.
Marty, you gotta come back with me.
Where?
The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
And we got racing in two different states, boys. We're staying in Texas for the trucks and heading to Richmond, Virginia for everyone else. Xfinity on track at Richmond Saturday, 1 p.m. on FS1 for the Toyota Care 250. Trucks on track at Texas Motor Speedway Saturday, 4:30 on FS1 for the Speedy Cash 250. And then Cup on track at Richmond Sunday, 3:30 for the Toyota Owners 400 on FS1. Practice and qualifying at 10 a.m. on Saturday for Cup. We made some picks last week. I told you guys, pick Tyler Reddick. He got you the win. He got me 50 points. Matt came in second last week. He told you to pick Ross Chastain. He got you 39 points. And unfortunately for Eric, Christopher Bell was doing very well near the end of the race. Just got caught up in some mess, and he got you 8 points. That brings Matt is our new leader with 191 points. I'm in second with 188, and Eric drops to third with 165, but it's still very close for all of us. What's up, Matt?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we all deserve a little pat on our own backs because all three of us have been doing really, really good with these picks this year. Yeah. We have two spot on winners so far this year, but which means one of us picked the actual winner of the race. But we've all been picking guys who were right there, had a chance to win. So I forget, somebody told us. Who told us? Somebody told us.
Charlie Warner. He said we're better than Dirty Modo, and I appreciate that, Charlie.
Right, we are. That's right, we are. Listen, Whitey picked Reddick. I listened to him. I listened to the confident brute that he is, and I put money down on Reddick, and I won some money yesterday. So guess what? When I go to Dover in a couple weeks, the concessions are paid for. I get a couple free beers out of it because I listened to us on the Bump and Run podcast.
I like it. I just wish they would give us the odds on Monday night again so we could go through the whole entire field and kind of try to tell you the guys maybe to pick while the odds are still pretty good before practice and qualifying, because that kind of kills the payout, and it definitely does at road courses because I feel like so far this year they've been making the line so tight where you can't really you can't make a lot of money like you used to be able to. It kind of sucks. But we are heading to Richmond. Eric, since you came in last, you get to pick first. Matt, you get to pick second, and then I pick last. So, Eric, who do you think is going to win down at the action track?
Well, I am going out on a limb here. No, actually, I'm not. I'm sticking with the hot hands. This person, he almost got my checkers this week because he's just been on a tear. And now he has some points he has to make up. So I'm going to go with the hot hand, 24 to Slick Willie 2 clocks.
Oh, yep. Slick Willie B. All right. Nice. Yep. I like it.
So he led a ton of laps here last year too. And if you weren't going to pick him, I was, but I am going to go a little bit of a different angle. So my pick is going to be to be determined. I'm picking whoever starts 13th this week.
Okay. That's interesting.
Why
13th?
The only reason I said that is because Denny and Harvick both started 13th last year, and they both won the race last year. A little interesting nugget. So Denny won the spring, Harvick won the summer race. But for real though, I'm taking the guy who came in second in the race in the spring, and then again who won the summer race. I just mentioned him. I am taking Kevin Harvick. I haven't taken him yet. We have a 3-limit pick for each guy, so I'm taking Harvick.
Wow, I am shocked because I would have sworn you guys were going to take my pick, and I was so sad that I was going last.
Alex Bowman.
Yeah. That's it. Alex Bowman. Justin Pierce, I'm picking him, buddy. I'm eating crow. I think he's been doing very well. He's been super consistent. The win is coming, and I think it comes for him again at Richmond because, of course, he is a past winner. So we are 6 races in to the 2023 season. We have 5 different winners. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, William Byron, Joey Logano, and Tyler Reddick. Can Willie B get his 3rd win of the season? Can Kevin Harvick get possibly his final win of his career and get himself into the playoffs one last time to run for that championship? Or will Alex Bowman do it once again, pump those tires up and get the win in Richmond? We will find out this Sunday, 3:30 for the Toyota's Owners 400 on FS1, and we will break it all down for you once again a Monday night. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
The bump and run. There it is.